ready to rumble!
Sports Extra is bringing you the hottest sports updates starting now in 3, 2, 1. What is good, everyone? I hope that worked. Welcome in to a new edition of Sports Extra as Rich Green gave me the confirmation. We're good. The field goal is good, ladies and gentlemen. Sweet. The new intro right there. Your boy on the call. As always, I'm Coby Clark for this edition of Sports Extra. To my left, Balake Simpson. Yep. And to my right, Zachary the Zach Stidham.
Yep. Zachary what they call me.
Stidham. That's McBuckets, baby.
Yeah, there you go. Zach McBuckets. Follow him on Instagram.
That is what they call me.
Exactly. Before we get into this episode, let's give a little rundown. What are we going to be talking about? Pretty much, if you follow us on Twitter, if you're not, why aren't you? At WZIS-FM. I'll give you the whole list. We're going to be talking about the Indiana State football schedule and how that went this past Saturday, and to preview what's coming up with the team. And then we're going to head back in with the Indiana State basketball side of things, a whole new sport we really haven't touched on in Sports Extra. We're going to talk about that today. The schedule just got released. Sounds a little fun. I know we're going to talk about that. And then we're going to round it out with the Indianapolis Colts. And we got two sad Colts fans here today. Well,
really touched on some touchy subjects here.
According to my contract, we are going to. And I know you guys don't want to, but hey, we're here to have fun.
Well, according to Frank Reich's contract, we're supposed to win games, so clearly contract much.
Yeah. True.
That's a good one. So yeah, anyone. Before we get into the show, how'd you guys' weekend go? What is in the new in the world of Blake and Zach? What's going on?
Zach's 2 for 2 in the season in field goals, dude, so we're good there.
That's true. I mean, it was a good weekend, overall. I mean,
Good.
Sunday was
a little rough.
Sunday wasn't bad.
We lost some money sports betting for sure.
True. I mean, that and, we'll talk about it, but we'll talk about it later. But, I mean, there's things that happened that made it a little less fun. Yeah. But, I mean, overall, good weekend.
Absolutely. So yeah, my boy Blake over there, this past Saturday, you were on the call for the Indiana State Montana Grizzlies game.
That was one of the things that made it a little bit worse.
Yeah. Well, if you guys didn't know, now you're about to. Shout out Joseph Moore, who is not here today. He's back at Indy for a doctor's appointment, and he cannot be on the show today. We miss him so much.
Dearly.
Not coming into the office.
Unreal how much we miss him.
When I walked in here and I didn't see him sitting in that blue chair, I was a little... I'm not going to get into it a little bit. I was hurt. But
He's dad. He's the puppy.
I hope he's listening. So Joe was play-by-play and you were color. I was the board off for that game. So I know a little bit. I mean, obviously I didn't see the visuals of what was going on, but I heard the audio from you too. Montana comes out of the gate on fire. They scored their first series. Indiana State, Justin Dinka, a 54-yard rushing touchdown.
Yeah, Montana didn't even score on their first. Because they scored on. We were on offense because remember they got the scoop and score, so they just came out on defense firing because they crushed poor Gavin Screws. I mean, like I said, anybody would have fumbled that. That when he got hit, anybody would have made that fumble because that ball could have been glued to him and he would have fumbled it because he got smashed. So they scored on that, and that was then when the Dinka had the 54-yard run, which was awesome.
Yes. So I mean that's pretty much the only highlights of the first half, and pretty much the whole game because Indiana State would not score besides one scoop and score touchdown late in the fourth quarter.
Montana went on a 35-0 run.
Yes, at halftime it was 21-7, and Blake, I'm going to start with you since you were there. I mean, initial thoughts and reactions to what happened. How did it happen? How did Montana? What Montana did. I mean,
it was hard to watch. I'll tell you that right now. It was rough. Because their defense has been, they only gave up 7 points in their first 2 weeks, and they only gave up 14 to us, and 7 of them was when our defense was out there. So their defense has only given up 14 points in 12 quarters, which is insane of college football. And I think that they were a little hurt by Dinka's 54-yard run because the rest of that game they were hitting harder, they were all over the quarterback and everything. It just I don't know. It was almost like us scoring made them better.
Right.
So that was rough. And then their quarterback is just an absolute monster. He was an incredible dual threat guy. Any time we would get any sort of pressure back there, he'd just avoid it with ease and then just make a good throw. So he was a problem all day long. They were just pretty much doing what they wanted with him. So it was just rough. They didn't even, like I said, they didn't even have many any one play big hitter 80-yard touchdowns or anything like that. They just every play was 6 or 7 yards, and it just never stopped. So it's just
Right.
rough.
Before we get into Zach, we do have the call here from Joseph Moore and Blake of that Justin Dinka 54-yard touchdown run, and I'm going to bless your guys' ears.
It's the best call of the year.
So
it's not even close.
here you guys go. A very great call by Joseph Moore right there. And I quote, out of the frying pan and into the ice cooler. That's
Justin Dinka is
cold. That was cold. Shout out, Blake. You did a phenomenal job on color that game in that segment alone. I mean really good job. Yeah, you're right. You know, I should just shut up. You know, Zach, what are your thoughts? I mean, I don't know if you were listening or watching. I mean, what does this Indiana State team like? What do they need to do?
I mean, it helps to score. I mean, it's serious. I mean, it's like to the point where like the defense is good. Like we know our defense can play well. We have multiple times. We've shown multiple times that we can stop even the best of teams. I mean, we stopped Purdue like 5 or 6 times. So we made them go 3 and out multiple times in that game. You wouldn't have thought it, but we did. Like because I mean, me and you called the game. We saw them have good defensive stands multiple times.
Not bad.
Yeah. So our defense is not like top. We can stop anybody every time because that's nobody can really. But our offense is like it's sometimes. I mean, sometimes we make plays that are like the Dinka run and like Screws in the North Alabama game when he just rolls out of the pocket, throws a laser in the corner of the end zone. Like there's guys on the team that can make plays, but we oftentimes shoot ourselves in the foot by doing something that just gives the ball away or just kind of like little things like going off sides or like just small things that like are momentum shifters that we can't really recover from and we just end up giving the ball back. And then the defense can only stay at 100% for so long because they're on the field a lot. I mean, the defense is on the field a lot more, has been on the field a lot more than our offense in every game we've played. So they can only be elite for so long before they just get tired. I mean, that's just the natural human anatomy of it. And on the defensive side, we rely a lot on our defensive line to get pressure. With that being said, that tends to lead to lackadaisical coverage from the secondary because we oftentimes expect the defensive line to get to the quarterback or to cause pressure to make them throw it away or like make them rush. So when we get in a situation where he's in the pocket for longer than about 3 or 4 seconds, coverage gets lackadaisical, and then we end up giving up a big pass or just a pass that was just open that shouldn't be. I mean, it's their coverage. But we kind of start to like look at the quarterback rather than look at where we're covering. And, I mean, that's the case for even a lot of NFL teams. That's kind of – but especially us. Like, we rely so heavily on the defensive line to get to the quarterback that it leads to pressure. It leads to coverage not being as tight as it should. But, again, a lot of our struggles have been on offense, so we need to – I mean, we still haven't figured out what we really are trying to do on a consistent basis. It should be to throw the ball to our best player on both sides of the ball. So that way, I mean, it would help to get the ball to our playmakers a lot more consistent than what we do. But again, I mean, it's a long season, so things can still be figured out.
And I think they will be. I mean, they have a great, bye week coming up where there's no game this Saturday. So hopefully they can use this time to work on everything that just hasn't been working and that's been really transpiring as of late. Because, I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat this when I say this. Gavin Screws just hasn't been really hitting the mark a lot. Dante Hendricks not getting as involved as we would like him to. Only 3 receptions last game.
He's getting the targets. He's just not. A lot of the balls he's getting thrown at just weren't catchable either because the coverage was either
Again,
that good or just.
yeah, again, that's a correlation with Screws not being on point.
Right.
A little bit. Talking about Gavin Screws, the quarterback here. He went a 50%, 11 for 22 on the day for only 115 yards. So, I mean, when you compare that to another this quarterback, Lucas Johnson, who played for Montana, he looked very flawless. I would say
He was a monster.
he was pretty good.
That guy's insane.
18 passes on 30 attempts for 232 yards and 3 touchdowns. I mean, the running back for Montana had a flea flicker, and that was a perfect throw.
Yeah, that was gorgeous.
And it was absolutely insane. And it's just something about this team that Gavin Screws, I mean, I'm not saying he isn't a bad quarterback. It's just he's just going to have to keep on working for that. And, even in the blowout loss both times now, we've seen Evan Elias come in. He didn't do so hot. He went 1 for 5 for 3 yards. What are you going to want? They're putting their second best guys out there on the second team. So, Cade Chambers, when he comes in, he's hot. He does a lot of rushing plays. So, if that's what you want to do with him, by all means, but maybe take a look at him in practice. I'm just keeping my honest opinion with it. So, but ultimately, with the defense, it comes with the offense, it starts out early, but as soon as Montana and even Purdue, we saw this defense get real tired real quick due to a long drive or just one huge play. I'll start with Blake here. Blake, what defensively does this team really not work on a whole lot that needs to be touched on?
Well, I don't know. I just think they're on the field too much. I think consistency is just a big thing with our team overall because the defense will make incredible plays and they'll let something let a 31-yard run go or something like that. So just consistency all around because like I said, they've got to be off the field more.
They're on the field way too long.
Yeah, because the offense always either it seems like the offense always because they've only scored 2 offensive touchdowns in 3 games, which is not good. But it seems like the offense always either starts a drive and then penalties stall it out, or they go 3 and out, and they never had any sort of momentum at all. So they just have got to be more consistent to get the defense off the field more, and the defense obviously just needs to learn how to play a little bit better tired because beginning of the games they always look really good, and then end of the game it's just it's a completely different squad out there even when they are a little bit tired, and then they go from it seems like they go from full sprint to jog very quickly. Just because they're out there a lot. So just consistency all around would be better.
Even with the first game that you two guys called with North Alabama coming here to Terre Haute, the defense they did pretty good. Yeah. It's just the offense that wasn't hitting the mark as well.
Yeah,
so
defense only gave up 14 points.
What was the major difference from that North Alabama game to this game, both offense and defense for ISU?
North Alabama definitely is not. Montana's definitely a little bit better than North Alabama is. Because North Alabama had some guys that were very, very good, but Montana just everybody. I talked about it during the game. Everybody on their roster was huge. Everybody was at least 6'2", 240, and they were all fast. They all hit hard and everything. They just had such a physicality.
They were huge. I will say
they were
Montana.
massive.
I don't know what they're feeding people out there, but man,
they earned the Grizzly name. And they just especially their running back. It didn't seem like if he was running into a safety, a D lineman, or a brick wall, he was going to run at them. He didn't try to run around anybody. I say that about a lot of guys, but he didn't. I don't think he took one sidestep the entire game. So he was really he didn't even have a great game, but he had 10 carries, and in those 10 carries, he was making somebody sore the next day. So that just that did not help our defense just because they were so bruised and beat up from him, just literally running into him every single play. But he got a handoff, and then. Just the quarterback, like I said, he was incredible. He was. We saw it a little bit against North Alabama. They brought in that freshman in the 4th quarter, and he was running and passing, and he drove him down and scored immediately. And that's pretty much what Montana's quarterback was. So they definitely don't look very good against dual threat quarterbacks because, like Zach said, they rely a little bit too much on the defensive line. Mm-hmm. So when they get to the quarterback and he's not throwing, and then he runs out, and then nobody's there to help, and it's just I don't know. I feel like we need to game plan a little bit more towards each team that we play because it seems like we're kind of trying to figure it out on the field most times.
I'm right there with you, Blake. From the first game to the 3rd game now, where it's been North Alabama, Purdue, and just previously Montana, the offense, the 54-yard rush by Dinka was probably the best offensive play, in my opinion.
Without a doubt.
Without a
It's
doubt.
the one for the most yards, without a doubt.
Dante Hendricks had a few good catches against the Boilermakers, but at the same time, there hasn't been there's just nothing there that makes me say that Gavin Screws has been like the solidified starter. I mean, nothing has propelled him or pushed him just because of, the teams we've played. I mean, there's been some nice throws that he's been able to make, whether that be on the receiver or him, but most recently the O-line. I mean, they're letting those defenses that we played just go right by them. And I'll ask Zach this one. I mean, the offensive line, the offensive scheme, like I like our offensive coordinator, Mike Bath. He brings a lot. He's first year offensive coordinator here at ISU as well. So I'm not going to be hating on him at all. I really like what he does. Shout out his son. He plays for Northview. He's a backup quarterback there. So, but I mean, Zach, what is this offensive need to improve on?
I mean, you said it. It's like the offensive line's kind of probably our biggest problem. It's not like we don't have guys that can make plays when they have the ball in their hands, like whether it be Hodge or Dinka. Like we have our running backs are good enough in their respective like what they're out there to do. Like Dinka's out there to kind of evade tackles and kind of like just use like a speed, like agile back, rather than T. Hodge being like, I'm going to run through your face. Like I'm going to run it up the middle and try to plow guys over. They do well in both those respective roles. They keep the defense on their toes as much as they can as a unit, as a running back unit. And then we obviously have Hendricks, who can make plays when he has the ball again. He can't get the ball if the quarterback doesn't hit him in the hands with it. So it comes down to the offensive line because, again, like the offensive coordinator can be as good as he wants. He is. I'm not saying that he's not. I'm saying that not a lot. You can have the best play in the world, but a lot of plays have to develop longer than 2 seconds.
Yes.
That's what I mean.
And the offensive line starts with that.
Exactly. Like it takes some time for plays to develop. So you can have the best play in the world, but if a quarterback's getting hit in less than 2.5 seconds, and it doesn't matter what the play is, there could be 5 guys open, but if the quarterback can't get the ball off, then it doesn't matter, or whatever. Or if there's a good like blocking scheme, like if there's like a good like run play, like jet sweep, whatever thing going on, but if you don't get any blocks, then it doesn't matter because there's going to be guys right in their face and tackling them every time. So, again, the offensive coordinator can be as good as he can be. I mean, he could be Josh McDaniels. He could be whatever he wants to be. But if you don't have time to get the plays off, then it doesn't matter what the play is. Offensive line is, in my opinion, besides the quarterback, it's the most important position group. It's the most important position group maybe on the entire field, both sides, because you have to. That's the core. That's how you get plays off. Like if the offensive line gets beat, then you can't run a play. And if you can't run a play, you can't score, which has been the tail of the tape for the entire season. We can't get a playoff. We can't get time to get a playoff, and we can't score. And if you can't score, you can't win. So again, it's all kind of correlates back to the same thing, and that just being the offense and the offensive line just not really being up to par. But it's not like. We're playing like we play Purdue and Montana, which Montana's like top 3 in FCS right now.
I think they are, top 3, number 2.
Montana's a contender for sure.
They are good.
Like it's not like we couldn't block like a junior high defensive lineman or anything. Like there's times where we can block people, but like it doesn't help that we're going up against Purdue and Montana. Like we didn't, but even against like North Alabama, like there was times where like guys would just do like the simplest move off the line and like there's boom, you hit the quarterback. Like he has to have time. You see it with the Bengals. They have weapons like we have Jamar Chase. Let's say Dante Hendricks is Jamar Chase and Gavin Screws is Joe Burrow. If you can have the 2 best guys on the field, maybe on offense and defense, but if Lyle Collins just squats down there and sits and you have Micah Parsons running at him, it doesn't matter because he can't get the ball off to him. It's kind of the same type of thing. You have to have time. Your playmakers have to have time to make plays. And that's just not happening. And it hasn't happened in 3 games. And that's why we went to overtime with a team that we should have beat by 40. We got beat by 55-0, and we got beat 42-7. So it all kind of correlates together.
I like that. I like that insight, Zach. Yeah. You're always trustworthy and reliable. And my last words on this for the ISU team, they come up, they get a bye. They have Northern Iowa on the road against the Panthers on October 1st. I would love to see. I would love that Gavin Screws to prove all of us wrong because obviously we're on here.
Yeah, I'm not here. I hope he does. That's what I'm saying. Like I'm
Please.
here. I'm here to support the whole team as a whole. Like I'm saying this so that in hopes of improvement. I'm not saying this to bash and jab. I'm saying
No one
this,
is, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm saying this to build like this is what we need to work on. This is our weak points, and this is why we're 1-2 at the moment. Like these are the reasons why, and hopefully they get better. And I mean, yeah, if they win, I mean, I want them to win every game always. That's why we're all three sitting here.
Absolutely.
That's just how it is. But
I wouldn't be talking about it if I didn't
yeah,
care.
like there's exactly like there's
We're so upset because we care so much.
Exactly.
I'm not even upset, but you know what I mean.
yeah, like but there's like I don't know. It's just what it is. Like exactly. I mean, you hit it on the head. Like I wouldn't be sitting here talking about it if I didn't care. I mean, there's like I'm not always here. Like we're not all here to bash. Like we're here to build up. We're here to just like we can't talk about it. Like if there's points to talk about and we're losing, then it's hard to pick out. Like it's not going to be positive the whole time. Like
Not at all.
there's only so many positive things you can say when you're 1-2 and you have 2 offensive touchdowns in 3 games. It's really that simple. I mean, if there was positive things to talk about, we'd be talking about them.
Exactly.
And we talk about the positive things. We've all talked about the positive things, but there has been a lot more naturally a lot more negatives than positives. I mean, we'll do it with the Colts too.
Yeah, I know.
Colts are 0-1-1.
The only difference is we're affiliated here. Like we can go down the road and go to a practice. We walk on campus with these players.
We go to
and
class with
coach
these players.
Literally, like
Hopefully it'll be a whole new ball game when they open up conference play. Because I mean, like
yeah, the whole slate,
Yeah,
just
that's-
conference play the
that's-
rest of the way.
Yeah.
So
those
It
games
helps.
are so different. So we need to those are the guys we know. Like we play them every year. So
Mm-hmm.
hopefully we can do better against those type of teams.
scouting, looking back at the previous years, I mean, sure, there's a couple new players on different teams, but you like to see what worked well last time, and see if that will work next time. And especially with this 2-week gap, you have a long time to work on this. Because I think one thing that I would like to be worked on is for defensively, the rushing game. We allow too many rushing yards. We've allowed too much opportunities. I mean, the rushing game is really what's been hurting us a lot because our defense just doesn't get off the field in time. I mean, I think we allowed total about 80 to 100 rushing yards in that game, split between 2 running backs. So, I mean, give them the credit. Sure, the passing game is what Montana really worked well with Lucas Johnson. He was absolutely a beast for sure.
He was a stud.
But the secondary also has to be improved in that category. You have to get your defense off the field. I mean, offense has to be the power drive to get points on this board. You don't win games without your offense. And I mean, Zach called it. We've had 2 touchdowns in the last 3 games
2 touchdowns this season.
offensively. Yeah. So, I mean, I want to see what's going to happen. I mean, one of them was a huge run by Dinka. Shout out. That was a great play.
Oh, yeah, phenomenal.
Just need more of that. We need someone to light a fire under them, to keep pushing and just work on it in practice. Because I know this team can be good. I know these guys. I talk to a lot of them. Like they have this drive, this passion, power for all of it, and I know they can bring that on Saturdays. I mean, like we said, we wouldn't be here talking about them. We're not bashing you guys if you're listening. We want you to do good. I'm just here on a talk show talking about it. So, no disrespect to you guys, but I like to see you guys play better, and I want to see what happens. So, Northern Iowa, I hope they can take this time and go into the break. I mean, any more last words for you guys before we get on to the next category?
Just hope they find some consistency.
Offensive consistency for Blake.
Any consistency. Both sides of the ball.
Any consistency.
Yeah, I've said my piece about it.
I respect it. I mean, I just want to see hard work and, I want to see that passion and work ethic really pay off. So hopefully this next 2 weeks will do just that. But before we get into the next topic, I'm going to preview for you guys. We're going to be talking about the breaking news. Indiana State men's basketball roster has just been released, the non-conference and the conference schedule. We're going to talk about that, see what our opinions are and our thoughts and predictions a little bit. But before we do that, we're going to take a quick 1-minute break and then come back and talk about the ISU basketball schedule as you're currently listening to Z90.7 WZIS. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Whether you're in a car or just doing some homework, you're listening to your number one favorite sports talk show held here at the state and the College of Indiana State University. I'm Coby Clark. As always, Blake Simpson over there, Zach Stidham over there. Boys, let's get into it. We are all huge fans of the sport known as basketball.
You can say that.
Absolutely. You can say that. I mean, it might be a better word. I don't know. How far does your love go for the sport?
It's my favorite sport.
Makes sense.
It's just what I look forward to. Basketball season.
Absolutely. And we're going to be having a lot of fun as you can catch all the home games and a few away games right here with our sports broadcasters calling those games as my phone fell from my lap.
For men's and women's, baby.
Yes, sir. Men's and women's.
All basketball.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All
Women's schedule has not been released yet, so I do not have those. But once that does happen, we'll talk about it, of course, as we are going to be talking about the men's side of things. Opening up at November 1st through November 17th, there's 4 games on November 1st. It'll be a home game. All 4 of these are at.
Let's see, don't we start off with like 6 home games or something like that?
I don't know. There are going to be 4 home games, so if you guys want to pull that
Still
up.
quite the home
Yeah,
stretch
a lot.
for the start of the year.
From so November 1st at 7 p.m., the visiting Tuscaloosa team will be visiting the Holman Center, and then Green Bay will play them on November 7th at 7 p.m.
We had a good game at Green Bay last year.
November 12th, it'll be Ball State coming here to the Holman Center at 1 p.m.
Sounds like 3-0 to me.
Sounds like a dub.
Be a lot of fun. And then finally, for that stretch of 4 home games in a row, November 17th at 7 p.m., the North Dakota State taking on the Sycamores. I mean, just through those first 4 games, things I'm excited about. There's a whole lot of different team. It's a huge different team from a year ago.
We kept some good pieces and we got some good new ones. So
Absolutely. We're going to talk about it all, winter long and going into the new year as well in 2023. So, but this team, I'm mostly excited for the offensive side of everything. I mean, we already know how good this team can be, and there's a little bit, with head coach John Shorts here. I mean, he was his first year last year, so I like to see what he can do in his second year as the Indiana State head coach. I mean,
seems like a good recruiter.
Yeah, a little bit. And from these 4, I like to see what we can do offensively. I want to see, the 3 ball be more improved. I want to see a lot of open ISO balls. So, I mean, what are your guys' thoughts on those 4 games?
Sounds like 4-0, man. Sounds like 4-0.
You think so?
A good question. I don't really know too much about who any of those teams have picked up or anything like that, but I know, Tusculum? Is that how you say that? I don't know how to say that.
I said Tuscaloosa, but I'm definitely wrong.
Yeah, it's definitely not Tuscaloosa.
I think it's Tusculum.
Tusculum.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. I don't know too much about that squad, but I mean, I know that they're a smaller school. I do know that, so hopefully that should be a win just because, smaller school, that's kind of like, I wouldn't say a tune-up game, but just like a one that, a little out-of-conference game to start the year that we hope we can, kind of find an identity in. Then, like I said, we beat Green Bay on the road last year, and it was a good game. And it was our, second game of the year last year too. So, I mean, to play them at home, we usually play a heck of a lot better at home than we do on the road, and that's just in every sport. So I hope that we can beat them at home. All 4 of these games being at home is what makes me believe that we should be 4-0 in them.
I love
Because,
that.
like I said, we play a lot better at home than we do on the road. Ball State, once again, don't know how good they are, but I mean, at home, I believe we can compete with just about anybody. So
The name alone
I don't-
should bring something, Ball State.
I don't see why we can't go 4-0 in those games. So yeah, that Gulf Coast showcase looks a little rough, but
Yeah, we'll preview that one, of course. We're going to get through the whole thing here. But Zach, what are your thoughts through those first 4 games here, all at the Holman Center? We're going to have live coverage of those.
I'd say probably. I mean, I want to very easily go 4-0. I say we probably go 3-1 because I don't know what North Dakota State's going to have. I mean, they're usually decent in about everything.
Right.
But I mean, I also don't know how good Ball State's going to be. We could easily go 4-0. I hope we go 4-0, obviously, but it's going to be again like we play at home. It's like we're definitely at home. If I mean, like we win a lot more of the time.
we look like a different team at home.
Yeah, like it's night and day almost. And I mean, we've consistently beaten good teams at home, even last year. So it definitely is a big advantage. But again, I don't know a whole lot about any of these teams because they're just smaller D1 schools. I don't know who they recruited, who transferred, especially with how the transfer portal is nowadays.
North Dakota State was 23-10 last year.
Okay,
Because it was 23-10. So I mean, obviously that brings a little bit of legitimacy there. And then, of course, Josh Schertz, the head coach here at ISU. His first year, it brings a little different excitement because, us being here on campus with a new head coach brings out, like, us being able to follow him and, like, just respect and like him a little bit more, if you know what I'm trying to say. I mean, he was 11-20. He had more chances, I'll say. There was opportunities that came down to the wire. He could have had more than 11 wins, probably like 12 or 13.
I think
maybe even more.
15.
It's close. It's close to say. He is. I really like him. I can't wait to get to formally meet him.
I think Valpo won like 6 games that year, and we were like 2 of them. So that's definitely games we should be winning. But we went to North Dakota State last year and only lost by 7, and we got them at home. So honestly, I think we're beating them as well.
So I mean, yeah, should be a lot of fun. I mean, let's look at this roster right now for the ISU Sycamores. We have Xavier Bledson.
Dogs.
Yeah, Xavier Bledson, dog. Julian Larry, dog. Rob Martin, and then we have Calix Stevens, the one, the only. We know him. Cooper Neese.
Go.
Cameron Crawford, Jaden Schertz, Mason Miller, Isaac Holmes, Cameron Henry, remember him, Jason Kent, Robbie Avila. That's a hard name to pronounce. Wow. Coverser McCauley. Sorry if I did not.
Cavoussier.
Wow.
Cavoussier McCauley.
Cavoussier. Okay, shout out him.
I have so much confidence that's his name. It's unreal.
That is awesome.
We did a little roster preview like 3 weeks ago or something like that, and I did not mention Cam Crawford enough too because he's got like such he looks like such like he's got such a basketball body.
He's a basketball player.
He's very like lengthy and like it's what you like. He's like what scouts want. Like he's got long arms. He can jump out of the gym. And he can shoot over top of people. And like he didn't play a whole lot last year, but in his limited minutes,
Hopefully
he was very, very good. So I hope that he takes a leap this year. And I could even see him being like a starter. But I hope he takes a leap.
To recap, or not to recap, but to round out the last 3, we have Zach Hobbs, Trenton Gibson, and Cade McKnight. Just make sure everyone gets out there. So there's a lot of potential, a lot of transfers. I mean, from this list alone, there's
Mason Miller on there?
3,
Yes.
4. There's 5 transfers. From other schools transferring over to play for the Sycamores. McKnight's transferring from Truman State. Gibson's transferring from Tuscaloosa. The one school we can't pronounce, Tusculum.
He'll have a revenge game week 1.
Yeah, week 1 McCauley. He's going to be transferring over from DePaul. Jason Kent is transferring over from Bradley. And then Mason Miller is a transfer over from Truman State. So 5. That's a huge number of transfers, and I believe a lot of these guys can have the potential and a lot of responsibility on their hands as they can get a lot of playing time, working on it practice. I mean, we're going to be going to a couple of practices here in a few weeks before the start of the new season. And, I mean, this is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking Cooper Neese, he's one of the best players in the history of Indiana State University. I mean, without a doubt. He knows his thing. He's been here for a while now. He's a senior this year. We all have seen him. If you know where Cloverdale is, if you ever saw him at high school, he was a dog. I've seen him play there.
Scored a ton of points.
He is amazing. I would like to see what Julian Larry brings this year because we saw him a little bit last year. Didn't see him too much, but I would like to see what he can bring now. With this redshirt junior, Xavier Bledson, we talked about him a little bit just a few weeks ago when
He's a dimer.
So, yeah, this whole team, I mean, it's very exciting, to say the least. I mean, Zach, what do you have to say about this whole team bringing into it?
I mean, it's going to be an interesting year. It's going to be very fast paced. That's the thing I would say is like almost a lock. I mean, we weren't because I wouldn't say we were a fast paced team last year per se, but I think I don't think it's going to be a choice this year because we don't have much size.
So, yeah, I was about to say the same thing.
I mean, our tallest player on the roster is 6'10", and
He's a true freshman.
yeah, so I doubt he'll get too much playing time. So it's probably going to be Cade McKnight, the transfer. He's probably going to be our tallest guy consistently, and he's only 6'9". So we're going to have to run and gun. I'm here for it.
Yeah, go for it, man.
I'm here for that. I'm here for a run and gun style of offense. I mean, it's fun to watch. It's fun to call. So I'm here for that. And I mean, it's obviously a double-edged sword with. I mean, you're going to be struggling to play interior defense and rebound. Obviously, that's how it is with that. But I mean, if you get a team that's struggling on the inside, then it's going to be hard to beat us because we're going to be faster than a lot of people in a lot of positions. So I mean, it has its pros and cons, obviously. But it's going to be fun to watch nonetheless. I really want us to shoot shoot more, like, and be able to, I don't know, like, I feel like we had the times we did shoot a lot were forced and kind of like unnatural in a sense. Like there needs to be a lot more like drive and kick situations to where it's like a catch and shoot, like on the catch, like off the back foot, like actually like efficient shots, like not something that has to be forced in like a very like unorthodox play or whatever, like a broken up play. But because we have shooters that can shoot at a very high rate and like very consistently. Like we have Zach Hobbs, who literally won us 3 or 4 games by himself last year because he got hot from 3. We have Mason Miller, who got a transfer. What does he shoot, like 48% from 3 or something?
It was an insane amount.
44, but he shot like 7 or 8 a game, which is
that's
that's 4 a game that he's hitting.
Very efficient from the 3-point line.
Yeah,
and we have guys like Cameron Henry and Bledson.
Yeah,
that's the guy I was thinking of. Who are very crafty passers, like coming up the floor, and like even when they get in the post, they're have very good court vision out of those spots. So if those guys if they can just get more open looks, I mean that's like kind of like a duh moment. Like obviously you want to get open, but like there was a lot of times where we just had possessions where we just didn't. So it's going to help a lot, and I think it's going to happen because of how fast we're going to play. We're going to be able to put teams in. We're going to be in a lot of advantageous situations,
right?
Because we're going to be up the court faster. We're going to be able to shift moment, like we're going to be able to like run off screens faster. The rolls are going to be faster, and it's just going to be. I feel like it's going to be a lot more efficient, and we're going to get more attempts. Thus, we're going to have more chances to score because there was a lot of times where we would slow the ball down on purpose to get like in a half court set. And I don't think we're going to have that luxury this year. If we do, it's not. I feel that's definitely going to be not as efficient as it was last year,
right?
And that's going to be. I mean, it's not like it's not going to work because you obviously have to have you have to play half court offense like like you
every time,
like you got to have a fast break every time. But that's definitely where we're going to excel, and hopefully we score a lot of points because again, that's fun to watch. Nobody wants to see a 65 game anymore. No. It's just not a thing that anybody wants to see. Nobody wants to call it. Nobody wants to see it.
It's not fun.
It's just that's just what it is, and hopefully that's just what I'm looking forward to is just high-paced basketball.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that I wanted to add because this team, it was like they would wait a little bit too much for like the plays to develop, and I wanted them. You know, you mentioned it how they would go down the court and they were like, whoa, let's hold up, let's get a play ran. I think they need to take more fast break opportunities. Sure, if you miss it, you guys got to hustle. I mean, as simple as that. I mean, a lot of high school basketball nowadays focuses on just hustle, and you just can't slow down. So I want to see this team, don't get me wrong, I want to see the plays work out and develop. But I feel like the faster a team is, the harder it is to beat them. Because this team has really it all. We mentioned they have the passing. You know, we have a few new shooters. We always have Cooper Neese, one of the best shooters in the state of Indiana. We have obviously some decent rebounding with McKnight coming. I mean, the playmaking, it's astounding. I'll say that. This isn't your typical Indiana State basketball roster from a few years ago. I think it's all very leveled out and balanced in all categories. So it can bring in a lot of in-depth play calling for offense and defense. I think I'd like to see a little bit maybe more zone this season on defense. I don't know how you guys feel about a zone, but man defense, it works. Don't get me wrong, but sometimes a zone is working depending on the team you're playing. Just a scouting report.
I was about to say I could see us running like some sort of like trap because we have so many quick guys, but a lot of like 2-3 I don't think would work with our roster much just because we don't have like the like he said the height to even be because we can't put a 6'9" guy in the middle on it 2-3 that's not just gonna work out.
I was thinking more like 3-2. Like have the quick guys at the top.
Or like 131. That'd be
even that. That'd be a lot of fun. You don't really see that. You barely see that in high school really.
If you ran 131 in D1 basketball, you get torched.
Yeah, absolutely. Unless it works.
Maybe we just don't know.
It'd have to be. You have to be so, like it'd have to be like 5 Kawhi Leonards running around out there for that to work.
You see that man's
another thing we have the luxury of those with moving quick and everything. We could go 8, 9, 10 guys deep this season because we've got like you said we've got a ton of guys that I think coach would be confident in putting out there because even. Like, obviously, Neese will start, Henry will start, and probably McKnight will start just because he's 6'9", and he's very good. Not just saying just because he's 6'9", but he's very good, and he's the tallest player on the team except for the true freshman.
Bledson will probably start.
Yeah.
But I feel like we've got, like, 1 or 2 starting positions pretty much open. I feel like we've got about 5 or 6 guys we could throw in there and be okay with.
Right. I
feel like we're a very deep team this year.
I was just about to say, with how deep we are, I don't think head Coach Josh Schertz is scared to go to the bench.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Like if you're not performing, there's someone
If you're-
always there.
Even if you're slightly tired, get him out, get another guy that can sprint, and it'll be like the Princeton offense from the 90s. Where
We
they
don't have to
rotated
run.
5 guys in every single 2 minutes and
That's-
just motored.
Yeah, I mean, like the Kentucky team that went 38-1. I mean, platoon system. I mean, blue platoon, white platoon. You just sub them in, sub everybody in, everybody out. I mean, I'm not saying we're 38-1 Kentucky team. I'm saying that
No, we know what you're trying to say.
it's just how it is. I mean, if you have depth in almost every position, and it's going to be, I don't even think. I mean, this is just kind of a. I don't think we're going to even have positions this year. Because literally everybody's on that roster is like 6'6", between like 6'6" and 6'7". Everybody,
Love it.
Everybody that's going to be on
And
the
we're
court,
fast with
yeah.
it.
Everybody that's going to be on the court consistently is going to be between 6'4" and 6'7", with the occasional outlier. Obviously, not everybody's going to be in that high. I mean, we have guys like Larry and the transfer kid that I forgot his name, the tall kid.
Or Mason Miller.
Yeah, no, like the
Dave
tall
McKnight.
like that are outliers at 6'9" and like 6 foot. I mean, like there's outliers, but 75% of the players that are going to be on the court throughout the course of the game are going to be between probably 6'4" and 6'7". Thus being, we're going to play positionless. We can switch on everything. We can get natural mismatches on offense, like through plays and stuff like that. Like it's just, I mean, it's very modern. It's just going to be modern basketball, and I love modern basketball. So modern basketball is better than all other basketball that's played in the past. That's my opinion. That's what it is. There's the NBA. I mean, this is like a tangent. I mean, I'll get back to it. Like the NBA is the most entertaining it's ever been, ever.
Right now, yes.
Right now, I don't think it's close. I mean, old heads we can debate if they want, but it's just what it is.
I can't even say the 90s, but they had Jordan.
Yeah, I mean, duh.
Well, I think you're just talking about turning on any 2 teams either. 'Cause,
Like, that's
if
what I
turn on
mean.
Any 2 teams in the 90s, odds are I'm not going to get an entertaining game.
Exactly.
I'm
If
not
you
gonna
didn't,
see
if you didn't
John
watch
Morant every game.
if you didn't watch the Bulls and the Lakers in the '90s, I mean, like if you didn't watch like the top 8 teams in the league in the '90s, you were getting a snooze fest. You literally did not want to watch it. That's why basketball is better. That's why it's why it's growing as much as it is now. It's why it's international the way that it is, because you can literally watch the Pistons and the Thunder, or like the Rockets Thunder. Those 2 teams are probably going to win 40 games combined, but those teams are so fun to watch. It's unreal how fun those teams are going to be to watch. And that's with every team. I mean, you have guys on every team now that, I mean, again, and that goes with saying like everything's faster now. Almost everybody can shoot if you're open, which that's how, I mean, if you're getting paid millions of dollars, you should be able to put the ball in the basket this is my opinion, from 20 foot in, you should be able to put the ball in the basket if you're getting paid millions of dollars to do something. That's my opinion. And that's kind of how it's, and that's even in college now. I mean, you have 7-footers. I mean, Simon Wilbur, the guy you have a jersey of, can shoot 3. He's 7 foot tall. He can shoot 3s consistently.
Where's he at now?
He is at Holy Cross.
Wherever he is. But that's how basketball is played now. You have to adapt, and this team's very modern, and this team could genuinely surprise a lot of teams.
Absolutely.
Moving forward, because like again, we have the 5 transfers that nobody really knows about around here. Like they weren't in the conference.
They're not like us.
None of those guys were even in the conference. So that means the other conference teams didn't see them either. So which is
That's huge.
advantage us. In
Shout
that.
out Shirts.
And I think we're going to put ourselves in a lot more situations to score a lot more efficiently this year. Everything's just going to run smoother. And like, again, I'm not saying we should just not play half-court offense, because half-court offense obviously has its place in basketball. It always will. It never won't. I mean, it's eventually going to be probably what wins games, like even at the NBA level. Like everybody's going to be able to run and gun, but it's going to come down to who can do both at the highest level.
Right.
And if we can efficiently run half-court offense and our transition offense be as good as it could be with the roster that we have, it's going to be. I mean, we could win however many games we want.
I mean, yeah.
With our schedule, because I mean,
We might go 38-1.
Murray State's going to be tough. Murray State's tough.
Yep.
They went 30-1 last year.
That's
went to the
tough.
Sweet 16. That's a tough game. There's some games in there.
There's some outliers.
Yeah, there's some games in there that we're probably not going to win. It's just like football. We're not beating Purdue. We're probably not beating a school like Montana either. It's top 3 in the FCS. There's games in there that it's going to be very, even if we run our offense good the whole game, it's going to be tough to win because they're going to score almost every time. And it's just the same thing. It goes with everything. But I think our team has potential.
I absolutely agree. I think, going back on what I was saying, this team looks the most deepest. It looks the most balanced it's been in years. I'm all for the Josh Schertz train. I want to see what this man can do. in his second year here. I mean, he obviously has a very coaching career already. But I mean, for the rest of the schedule, if you guys want to go check it out, please do. Go ahead on gosycamores.com. Men's basketball schedule. I mean, we got some games coming up here. The Gulf Coast Showcase. I wish maybe we can go to that. No, it's in Florida, Estro, Florida. Yeah, I wish. We got games against Drake, Miami of Ohio, Southern Indiana. There's Valparaiso, Illinois State, Murray State, Evansville, Northern Iowa, Belmont. Who I think Belmont made a run in the tournament last year. Did they not? Or was that the year before?
It wasn't last year, I know that.
It was probably the year before, and then Missouri State would be the last game of the year. That's February 26th. Hopefully not. Hopefully we make a run in the March Madness tournament. That would be insane, to say the least. So,
If we go dancing,
if we made the actual tournament,
and then we have Arch Madness, of course.
I'd cry.
oh my gosh.
Arch Madness is a very key thing.
If we win Arch Madness, we get in the tournament.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the only way any school in our conference is getting in, though, because like if you don't win that conference, you're not getting in just because we're not a big enough conference. Because like I mean, if one Big Ten school, one Big Ten school will win their conference, but 5 more will make the tournament because they'll all win 25 games or something like that. And we just
'Cause they're just deep.
If we win 25 games, they'll go to strength of schedule or whatever. So there'll be one team from our conference to go, and I hope it's us.
I couldn't tell you the last time maybe someone from the Missouri Valley had 2 teams. If ever,
Oh, boy.
I would
It had to be when Creighton and Wichita State were in it.
Yeah.
Creighton and Wichita State.
They were both in the Missouri Valley
Right.
Conference.
You're very. I was shout out Ron Baker and Doug McDermott.
And Kyle Korver.
Freddie V.
He went to Creighton. You're right. That's awesome.
Yeah, even if we're not as good as we're hoping we are this season, I feel like it's a step in the right direction.
How did I forget Fred?
Yeah.
I don't know how I forgot the one All-Star.
Yeah, but you remembered Ron Baker.
Dude, it's the hair, man.
It is the hair.
He was a dog.
He was a dog. I'm not saying he wasn't. He just did not have a very good NBA career, and I think he knows that.
I think he does financing now or something.
Ronnie
I don't
Baker.
know.
I haven't heard that name.
Insurance.
That was like Addie Russell.
Ronnie Baker. But yeah, I mean, the men's schedule and whenever the women's schedule comes out, don't get me wrong. I think we also have a very much improved women's schedule. We weren't even that bad last year for the women's team. So whenever that schedule comes out, we'll talk about that. We're going to get all the insight on a lot of practices we go to. Articles will be written, interviews will be put up on our SoundCloud or our website, WZIS-FM.org. So stay tuned because there's a whole lot of stuff coming up here. This sports team, number 1, undefeated, never lost, never will. So before we take our last break, I'm going to preview this. Indianapolis Colts. Talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars game. We're going to talk about next week.
Next
Mahomes
L,
and the Chiefs.
Next L.
I would end the show, but I can't. I have to do it to you guys. We're going to take a quick 1-minute break right here, and then we're going to talk about the Colts game right here on Z90.7 WZIS. Welcome back here to the last segment today, sadly, of Sports Extra. But hey, if you ever want to hear our voices anymore, we have a podcast. We do that on Tuesdays. Don't really have a time. It's kind of hard to tell. Well, the booth still isn't ready. Usually someone has a DJ shift in here, so I mean, we'll have to figure that out tonight or tomorrow, whoever will be on that one. So if you want to hear our voices anymore, that's Sports Extra Uncut. So yeah. Anyway, let's get into it, guys. I'm not going to beat around the bush. The Indianapolis Colts played football yesterday, if you call that football.
I'm not saying, did they?
I was like, not necessarily.
They lost to, again.
Everybody knows. Don't even need to talk.
You're right.
Everybody knows.
You know, I gotta set it though. I gotta set it. You know, any professional would. 24-0. The Jacksonville Jaguars were at home and they defeated the Indianapolis Colts. The Jaguars were off to a nice start, and Trevor Lawrence, 25 of 30, for 235 yards and 2 touchdowns. An amazing performance, probably the best of his young career.
Probably the best since he beat us in Week 18 last year.
That's
Because he always plays like a number 1 overall pick against us, and he plays like trash against everybody else.
he didn't do that bad against Washington.
Well, this mean in last season, and
His
a
rookie
little
year.
time this year, he's played a lot better against us than he has against anybody else.
His team is also very much improved, I would say.
Yeah, because they got rid of Urban Meyer.
Yes.
Kicker,
Colts.
the kicker, Urban Meyer.
Oh, whoa. The Colts quarterback Matt Ryan
Don't even want to talk about it.
not off to a good start.
Carson Wentz could have thrown 1 touchdown and 4 picks.
He completed 16 of his 30 passes for 195
Completed
yards
3 of the wrong team.
and an awful 3 interception performance. Jonathan Taylor, the running back. You would not tell me if he was a running back because he only had 9 rushes. What is up with that for 54 yards? Well, guys,
Well, it's hard to run the ball when you're down.
just take it away. Whoever wants to
17
start,
halftime.
what is wrong? Go ahead. This is a therapy.
I don't even wanna-
I'm Dr. Clark. What do we got to talk about? Blake, you can
I
go.
hope they have a deal with Walgreens so they can get half off on antidepressants for all Colts fans because that's what kind of season it's been. Tying probably the team that'll get dead last in the division, and then getting beat 24-0, the team that might win 7 games this year, and we'll probably be 2 of them. It's just then we're about to go into another L against the Chiefs because Patrick Mahomes is goated, and then we'll probably lose to the Titans. And we'll probably lose to whoever we play after that, the Rams, I think, or something like that. Not the Rams. Who we play after that?
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Yeah, it gets rough. Because that was the easiest part of our schedule by a long shot, and we blew it.
It's an understatement, yeah.
A little bit.
We're not. I believe as a nation, Colts Nation is not very happy right now.
Well, I mean, let's see it. I mean, Matt Ryan, the O-line is good.
Go 2 Broncos after that. So
So,
Thursday night football, we're really good playing in prime time.
oh man.
Yeah.
There's a lot of injuries on this team, which is unfortunate for the timing of it all. So,
We need Shaq Leonard back.
Shaq
Something
Leonard
terrible.
is out the past 2 weeks. Hopefully, he can return this Sunday against the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, Michael Pittman wasn't even in there this week.
Nope.
The number 1 wide receiver,
I think it was
Kenny Moore.
Kenny Moore
whoever,
played.
Michael Pittman.
Buckner didn't play.
Buckner didn't play. Yeah, that
Kenny-
was bigger than even Kenny Moore.
Well, duh, yeah. Yeah, that was
Yeah,
Buckner's.
my bad.
Quite literally,
Buckner.
physically.
So we're missing our best D lineman by a long shot and our best linebacker by more than by
Infinite,
light years.
infinity.
by more than anything. And we have good linebackers besides him, but he's just
He is like
Absolute
a top
stud.
3 linebacker.
he is a top 1 linebacker.
I-
He's the best. I mean, I don't think it's
Top
close.
2 minimum.
Top 2 minimum. But
I'm not gonna sit here and disagree, but
he just there's nobody last season there was nobody even close to the amount of turnovers he forced, and I think that's why. Because getting tackles is one thing, which he obviously does, but when you give the ball back to your offense 12 times in a year by yourself, that's insane. So that's just why I think.
is that like
personally,
forcing turnovers or that's like on 4th and down?
He had
No.
8 forced fumbles and 4 picks.
Okay.
12. He had 12 turnovers by himself last year, and that's insane. Nobody else
How many
nobody else
tackles?
even had like 5. He had well over 100,
Well over
130 or
100.
something.
I would
like that.
assume, yeah.
Yeah, he's just
He's a freak. Absolutely
Yeah.
freak. I don't know
say
how
that.
that man fell into the 2nd round that 1 year.
they showed Jonathan Taylor, which we know he's a running back, but that's disgusting.
It just makes sense.
Yeah. but
Sometimes
I
you don't wanna
I
pay
know.
him.
It seems like every decision we've made in the last year has been the wrong one. I just don't get it.
Zach.
It's I mean, I have a lot of words. I just don't know how to put them in proper fashion. I mean, I'm not even gonna sit here and just like put Matt Ryan over the fire. I'm not, because I just don't think it's all his fault. We just don't have anybody that can get open. We have one guy on our team that can get open consistently,
True.
and he had a headset on last week.
Yep.
I mean, we have guys, or we supposedly have a deep wide receiver room, according to front office people, but the Jaguars have a bad secondary, and they were on our guys. I mean, you'd have thought Jalen Ramsey, like you'd have thought the 3 best corners in the freaking league were on the secondary for Jacksonville. Because I wasn't gonna say that, but
You should.
I mean, you would have thought like the 3 best corners of all time were on defense because, again, our offensive line is good. That's just what it is. Matt Ryan's having 5 seconds in the pocket every time. But if our receivers can't get open in 5 seconds, so it doesn't matter how long he gets back there, because eventually those guys are going to get past the offensive line, especially when you have a guy like Josh Allen. You have Josh Allen and Trevon Walker on the edge. Those guys are eventually going to get through there.
How did Walker do? Is he doing pretty good?
He had some pressures. I don't think he had a sack. I mean, Josh Allen had like 4 sacks or something.
Stupid amount of sacks.
Josh Allen. I rave on Josh Allen all the time. He went to Kentucky. He's very just criminally underrated. He's one of the better pass rushers in all of football.
It's unfortunate how underrated this man is because
I love
absolutely
Josh Allen.
tearing it up.
And again, like their secondary isn't like they have like it's Griffin. It's the guy. I think it's like Shaquille Griffin. I think is his name. He's a corner. He's not terrible. That's their only guy in the secondary. That,
didn't he play for Seattle?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was one of the Griffin brothers. Yeah.
He's the only one in the secondary that is top 20 in his position group in the NFL. Like out of all the starters, like every other starter in the secondary they have is bottom 20 respectively in the NFL and amongst starters. And you would have thought we were playing the Rams or the Bills or something.
Was that is that in part with their defense, with the front guys on the line, or is it just like Ryan not having enough time or not completing throws?
It's not that he doesn't have enough time.
Nobody's getting open. Ryan gets happy feet. I mean, they got 5 sacks against Ryan. Allen had 2 of them. They had 5 total, and it was either because because Matt Ryan got happy feet and ran when he probably shouldn't have, or there's just literally nobody open.
Yeah, there's just nobody open.
He made some bad throws too, though. That first pick was
terrible.
One of the worst throws I've ever seen.
And it's just, and again, we have the best running back in football.
Yep.
I don't think it's really it's not as close as people make it out to be. There's some good running backs, but we have a guy that was in MVP talks all of last season until kind of the very end when some guys tailed
Probably
away.
should have won MVP, but you know how the league is now.
He shouldn't have. But,
you don't think so?
I mean, he should have probably won. He could have easily won Offensive Player of the Year. I mean, if Cooper Kupp doesn't have literally the best wide receiver season ever, he wins Offensive Player of the Year. I mean, he's the best player we have on either side of the ball.
Without a doubt.
He's one of the best players in football in general.
He's better than Shaquille.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he's the best. He's like the best running back in the NFL, and he gets 9 touches. He touches the ball 9 times in a game where I didn't know. Me and Blake, we did not know a single person on the defensive line for Jacksonville besides edge rushers. Interior defensive line, there's nobody that has a name that they haven't done anything. They're all very below average NFL players.
Andre Cisco, Devin Lloyd,
these guys, they could.
We play this team twice a year and we don't know these guys.
Yeah,
That's
in our offensive line. Yeah, and we have 3 offensive line. We have 3 offensive linemen on the left side that are Pro Bowlers, and Quentin Nelson's a future Hall of Famer. He's one of the best left guards of the past 25 years, and we don't run the ball. It doesn't matter it doesn't matter how many points we're down. We have to keep running the ball. If we have a guy that can get 2,000 yards a season, he has to get the ball more than 9 times a game. I mean, he got the ball. I don't care if we run it 35 times a game. We have to get him the ball in his hands, or if we run a screen. There cannot be There cannot be a set of chains in a football game that the Colts play where Jonathan Taylor does not touch the football at least 1 time. It cannot happen.
I would even say 1.
That's why we won 10 games last year, because he literally put us on our back as a team and ran for 1,800 and something yards. He's our offense. Our offense has to revolve around him all the time. And even if we're down, we can't pin ourselves in a corner to where we have to try to pass, because again, we didn't sign Matt Ryan to be Patrick Mahomes, because he's not. He can't sit there and throw 40 times a game and expect us to win. We don't have enough weapons. We only have 1 guy that's even above average, and he wasn't even playing. So we have to do the one thing that we know we can do consistently, and we didn't. We didn't the whole game. And even when we were tied or down 1 score, we still didn't run the ball. So I don't understand what the game plan is, and that goes back to the coach. Again, everybody's going at Frank Wright. I mean, it's very reasonable. I mean, I don't understand why we don't run the ball I don't care if we run the ball every flipping time at this point. I don't care how many touches he gets. He's been hurt since college, since his freshman year of college. He's missed 4 football games. 4 football games. He's not injury prone. He's not going to be injury prone until proven otherwise. Give him the ball. Let him make a play. He's the best in the league at doing it. Just let him go. Let him touch the ball. Let him carry the ball. Let him catch the ball. He has to do something, especially when we have guys that if you can't get open in the National Football League in 5 seconds in the pocket, if your quarterback has 5 seconds in the pocket and you can't get open, you're not good. You shouldn't be on the field.
We're not saying we're not saying that Taylor is going to be the entire offense, but he has to be the guy on offense.
And getting 25 touches, something's very wrong.
Yes.
He had 9 carries and 1 reception and only 1 target.
That's not good.
That ain't gonna cut it.
Our team isn't built around us throwing the ball.
No.
It's never, and it hasn't since Luck's been there.
Nope. Since we had Hilton and
Yeah, like it.
and an absolutely stud quarterback.
It hasn't been in
Phillip Rivers.
Yeah, it hasn't been in so many years. Like, and that's not a bad thing. It works. We won 10 games last year because we ran the ball 35 times a game. I don't know why we haven't. Even in the, I mean, you know what happened when we ran the ball? We ran the ball 31 times last game. We tied. We scored 20 points. We ran the ball 31 times, and when he has the ball in his hands 31 times, he gets 170 yards because that's what he's going to do every time if he gets the ball 30 times.
He had 6 yards a carry with 9 carries. It's just stupid. I mean, he's getting 6 yards a carry, and we're not giving him the ball anymore.
Yeah, it just doesn't.
Broke one for 21, and 9 carries. He had to a 21-yard rush.
It just doesn't make any sense why
Stupid.
we shoot ourselves in the foot the whole time. Like, we shot ourselves in the foot the whole game. Our play calling was just not good. No. And when we did call a play, like a pass play, nobody gets open because our receivers aren't ready to play NFL football. Like, they're just not good enough. I mean, obviously they were good. I mean, obviously they're not good. They're bad at football. Like, they were probably the best player on their college team, the best player on their high school team, and but there's such a big skill gap once you get in the NFL. Even against a team like Jacksonville that has bottom 10% guys in the secondary, they're still going to be able to play defense on guys that aren't that good at receiver in the league. Wow. It's just what it is. Like, if you can't get open again, and Matt Ryan's getting 5 seconds in the pocket, and you still can't, even on a busted play. When the play's over, when the actual play is over, you still can't create any space enough for him to just dump the ball off. He's forced to throw the ball out of bounds or just throw it at the other team like he did in the first quarter. Like, it's just what the situation we're in. The offensive line's always going to do good. The defense was on the field the whole game. We were without our 2 best players on defense. And, I mean, and again, Trevor Lawrence turns into whoever he wants to be when he plays us.
Hey, Trevor Lawrence might be doing pretty good this season.
If he played us 17 times, he'd be the best quarterback in history.
He'd be the best quarterback of all time. But
hey, give him some respect. I think he's got.
I'm not saying he's bad. I'm not saying he's bad.
No, he's bad.
I'm not saying he's definitely capable of doing decent. Like, he's not like a backup or anything like that. Like, he's good enough to start in the NFL, but he's not good enough to have whatever he did against us. Against a defense that had
that's insane. Yeah,
against a defense that has multiple Pro Bowlers. 2 of them weren't playing, but there's still guys on that defense that did play that made Pro Bowls last year. And we have to, I don't know. And then even on defense, like our defensive play calling, like there was so many times where it was like it'd be 5 wide and we'd rush 3 guys. Yeah. Like, we're giving them so much time.
Yeah, we didn't have a single sack.
Yeah, like we're giving the other team so much time.
Calling, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if they're 5 wide, that means they can only be 5 people blocking. Why are we only sending 3? That means they can double team almost every one of us.
Get them.
Like, we're just not gonna. I don't know. Like, we're just not gonna get to the quarterback efficiently like that. And I mean, even every quarterback in the NFL, if they get 10 seconds in the pocket, they're gonna find an open receiver. Even us. If Matt Ryan had an extra 5 seconds, he's gonna find somebody. But I don't know. I can go on for so long about it. It's just bad play calling, not enough weapons. Give the ball to our actual only good player on offense, and I don't know, rush more people.
Yeah.
Like, it's literally like elementary bullet points. I just said like the most 4 basic things about football, and we're not doing it as a team that could literally so easily win this division. It's not even funny. No, we're in the worst division, and it's not close. Nope. The Titans just lost to the Giants. The Jaguars are the Jaguars. The Texans are the Texans.
And the Titans have a game coming up tonight against the Buffalo Bills, which will probably
get
be a loss.
Yeah, I mean, they lost to the Giants at home.
If you would have told me that the Jaguars and the Texans be leading, the Jaguars, if the Titans lose, the Jaguars will probably be the leading team
win in the division
since like 2017 or something.
Yeah,
it's insane.
It's just I don't know.
We are so lucky we're in the worst division of football because that's our only chance at the playoff. I mean, we have to win the division to make the playoffs. If not, we're not going to make the playoffs. But like, there might not be 15 wins between the other 3 teams. Like,
it's not. I mean, we started bad last year. Again, it's not impossible. I mean, it's again very simple fixes. Give the ball to your best player. Duh. Mm-hmm. Send more people on the line. Duh. I don't know. Just play better. like call better plays.
That's literally what I would say. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like I don't even blame the players at this point. I mean, the coaching staff, absolutely. You cannot allow Jonathan Taylor to be running to 9 yards. I mean, Jonathan Taylor needs to be the focal point. I don't know what Matt Ryan is doing. I mean, I never liked Matt Ryan. But he can definitely. He is a good quarterback.
He has 60,000 career passing yards.
So
he obviously knows what he's doing with the ball.
He's
Again,
an MVP.
again, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. Not even a debate. He's
Absolutely.
He has some of the best quarterback stats of all time.
But it's like the way he's playing right now with the best O line in the NFL right now. It's insane how he hasn't even. He threw 3 interceptions.
But like you can only do so much with what you have. Again, like if you have, I mean,
These people, I have no clue who they are. Ashton Doolin, Desmond Patman.
Without Pittman, he has a better receiver core with the Falcons last year than he did with the rest because
Exactly. And he had Kevin Ridley.
Ridley got suspended for like 10 games.
Well, I mean, like he played last year a lot.
Right.
But again,
Usually with the Colts, because we it's show we haven't won a game week 1 since I was 4 or something like that, and we've always started off slow. But the reason so many Colts fans are hitting the panic button right now is because we played two of probably the top 5 worst teams in football right now. We're 0-1-1, and our schedule coming up is brutal. So
It's absolute. I mean, you got the Chiefs.
We go 2 Chiefs, then we play Titans at home, 2 Broncos, Jags at home, but then we go 2
No, I
Titans.
think the Chiefs are here.
We play the Raiders, we play the Pats, play the Steelers, play the Eagles, play the Vikings. We go to Dallas. We play the Chargers. Like we've got a lot of rough games coming up.
we could play the Chiefs. You said like the Chiefs comes here. We could play the Chiefs on the moon right now, and it wouldn't matter.
Yeah, it didn't.
Like at this point, like where we're sitting at, like we could, like the Chiefs are going to win. I bet their odds on ESPN's like 99%. It should be because the Chiefs have played 2 nearly flawless games in a row against 2 good teams, and they won both games.
They're 6.5-point favorites.
Yeah, 6.5.
Guarantee they cover that spread.
Yeah, we have played 2 games against, I'll say the 2 worst teams in football. I think the Giants are better than those 2 teams.
I'd say like Falcons and Bears maybe.
I mean the Bears won a game.
That's true.
They beat the 49ers.
In the rain, I'm still not sold on Trey Lance either, but
Well, I mean,
he's not playing anymore. Huh?
yeah, I know.
But
that's a whole other. We could talk about that. I want to talk about that tomorrow. So.
But again, going back, I mean, we're 0-1-1 against the 2 worst teams in football. They're both on the road. Don't care. Doesn't matter. That's so irrelevant. It hurts because there was 28 people combined at both games. Like,
dang, Zach.
it's just like
this tangent.
I don't understand what to say. Like I'm in this point because again, like I came on this show 3 weeks ago and said we're going to go 13 and whatever.
No, I know. I have the receipt.
13-4, and go to the AFC Championship, and we're 0-2 against the 2 worst teams in football. I mean, and we should easily be 2-0.
You really should.
I mean, we were missing 1 player. Granted, it's our second best player on our whole team. Or the first game. The only player we were missing was Shaq Leonard. He obviously impact. We probably win the game if he plays. But last game we were out without like a couple people, and we got embarrassed.
We scored 0 points.
Yeah, like we didn't even kick a field goal.
No.
It just doesn't make any sense. Our team should be performing better than it is.
I mean, yeah, like I said,
Yeah, we didn't even
Carson
get to
Wentz
see-
could have done this. Like
We didn't even get to see the
1
new
touchdown,
kicker.
4 interceptions.
Again, but that goes back to that point of we didn't get Matt Ryan to be Patrick Mahomes. We got him to be a veteran presence. We got him to we got him to not lose. He's not there to win us games because he doesn't have to because we have all the pieces to win games already. But
He probably wouldn't be here besides the whole drama fiasco of the Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, he wouldn't.
stuff.
But he's not there to win games, and he's not even the one who loses us the games. I don't think he lost us that game. I don't think he didn't lose us the game against. He brought us back in the game against the Texans. We were down 20-3 going into the fourth quarter against the Texans, and we scored 17 unanswered in the fourth. I mean, he got us to tie, he was the reason he got us to tie in the Texans game.
Absolutely.
And he definitely wasn't the reason we scored 0 points. And I mean, if his receivers can't get open in 5 seconds in the pocket, and in our play call, he's not going to shrug off the coach or the offensive coordinator on the play call. He's probably like, can we please hand the ball off to the best player, maybe a top 10 player in the entire football on both sides of the ball? Can we please give it to the best running back in football, please? Like, that's probably what he's saying in the huddle. Jonathan Taylor's probably swinging at some. If I'm Jonathan Taylor going in that locker room, I'm knocking out 5 people
Oh my god.
in the locker room. Like, I'm knocking out Frank Wright, the
Oh,
offensive
whoa.
coordinator. I mean, like, give me the ball. Like, I had
The other 3.
I had 1,800 yards last year, and I have 9 touches. I had 31 touches last game. The reason we probably tied the game, I had 31 touches, 170 yards, and a touchdown. Like, give me the ball, please.
Can I ask you a question? Is it what so like about this team starting early? Like, what is it? Because nothing early has been working well for you guys.
What do you mean, what about it?
So like what are they doing mostly? Are they passing it? Are they just not running the ball early? Like,
we ran the ball the first game and we tied. I think our defense has to probably play, but our defense has underperformed.
A little bit.
Like that's another.
Jack Leonard is such an impact that's unreal.
Yeah, like he's a top 2 minimum linebacker, arguably the best. I mean, Blake obviously thinks he's the best. I think he's the best as well. But I mean, you're losing a guy that not only can rush the passer, who can play coverage, who can tackle everybody, who forces turnovers better than anybody in football. But we have guys, but we have 4 other All-Pros on defense. We have probably a top 3 defensive tackle. We have We have 2 cornerbacks that have made Pro Bowls. And Kenny Moore made it last year. Stephon Gilmore's won Defensive Player of the Year before and made an first-team All-Pro. I mean, we have guys. We have playmakers on defense, but you wouldn't think.
absolutely.
First 2 games.
I get you.
It's just so frustrating because the expectations were so high for a good reason, and they have underperformed miraculously. It is unreal how bad we.
I mean, a few teams. You're not the only team. I bet the Bengals fans would probably be freaking out as well right now. I mean, there's a lot of teams.
they are. There's not like an if to that. Like
No.
they're calling for Zach Taylor's head just as much as we're calling for Frank Wright's because their play calling is horrendous too. I've watched majority of both of the. Me and him has watched a majority of both of those games, and their play calling is horrendous on offense. I mean, you probably have one of a top 3 wide receiver quarterback duos in all football, and I don't know. It's just and you have Joe Mixon, who's one of the better running backs. You have the best offense in football on paper. You just do, and you scored what they scored like 9 points against the Cowboys or something, and they lost to the Steelers.
I think it was 20-17.
Well, they had like
9
at halftime or something.
Yeah, and they had like 9 going into the 4th. But I mean, that offense should be putting up way more points than what it is.
Yeah, they had 3.
And that comes back to the same thing. I mean, that comes back to just their struggles last year. Burrow's getting hit 15 times a game because all they did in the offseason was boost their offensive line, and they still get tackled, and he still gets.
I saw a thing that said that Burrow got sacked 51 times last year, and
He's on pace.
They spent the whole offseason. Yeah, he's on pace to get sacked 111. I was like, that's stupid.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's
Sports. You just put way too much time and effort and heart into it, and sometimes you win some and you lose some, and you just get upset when they don't hit or perform, and when they do, you're as happy as you could be, and it's quite simple. Any sports fan will relay that message back. So
It's just sad because like as of right now, it looks like Jacksonville could legit win our division if we keep playing like this. That's pathetic.
shout out Trevor Lawrence. Don't say that.
Bum.
You cannot call a second-year number 1 overall pick a bum.
I absolutely can't.
he's been pretty bad through the season.
He was with the Jaguars.
People called Jamarcus Russell a bum after his first year, and his first year stats were way better than Trevor Lawrence's.
I mean, he was like 10 for 18, like 10 touchdowns, 18 interceptions last year.
Yeah,
So-
that's bad.
I mean, when you're with a coaching staff, that's like, go.
I'm not saying he
for
can't
it.
be. I'm not saying he can't be good.
He's
I'm
letting him
saying-
go for it. So
I'm not saying he can't be good. I'm saying he hasn't so far.
So,
Yeah, besides
people
against
have been
you
giving
guys.
up on quicker than he has, and in his same shoes.
Yeah.
So, well, guys, the Colts have a matchup next weekend against the Chiefs. We'll see how they can fare. Will Shaq Leonard be healthy?
I hope so.
I hope, please, dude.
At this point, we might as well just rest him for another game because we're going to lose that one with or without him. Now.
Absolutely.
Never know.
You never know, but ain't looking good.
I think it's time we get out of here.
That's fair.
Great conversation, as always, with you
Yeah.
guys. Love you too. You guys are awesome. So we talked about the Indiana State football. Let's see. Hopefully they can take this break going into the bye week and restore everything they need and work on what needs to be done defensively and offensively, as they have a road game coming up against North Iowa on October 1st. Then the basketball schedule is released. Exciting times. We here at the station are excited for the basketball season. I cannot wait to call those games, interview the players, even watch basketball. Love basketball. When's the NBA? Like 50 days? Like a month? I don't know.
Need to be tomorrow.
It'd be a month and tomorrow? Okay.
No, I said it needs to be tomorrow.
Needs to be tomorrow. Absolutely. Pacers country. That's right. And lastly, of course, the Colts. Let's Let's hope.
Turn it around.
Any more last words before we get out of here, guys?
Basketball team, dunk the ball this year, please. Dunk the ball.
ISU?
A couple more. Dunk the ball.
We'll see. Zach,
Just hand the ball off, man.
just hand the ball off, man.
Yeah.
And Mike Evans,
Stop.
I'm looking for you.
Nope.
I'll find you. Marshawn Lattimore is better than you, 100%.
Absolutely not.
Marshawn Lattimore's top 3. So let's get out of here. Thank you guys as always. Sports Extra. We'll see you next Monday. Sports Extra Uncut will be tomorrow. I don't know if these two will be on, but I will be here. Joe Moore should be on there. Maybe Rich or Ralph.Rich. I was going to say, if Rich wants to come on, by all means, why not? It should be a lot of fun for sure. Make sure you follow on all of our social medias at WZIS-FM. The Twitter is mainly where you get all the sports stuff, so please follow there and all of our social medias. We're live on Twitch. Take care, guys. If you're watching on Twitch, if you're listening in the car somewhere, shout out to all of you. For Blake, for Zach, and myself. We'll see you all next time. Be safe.